We all love video games, that's why you're here. We have our favorite series that stood the test of time in our memories, even while other memories fade like our parents' phone numbers. Our favorite video game franchises molded who we are and taught us just as much as any daytime television show we watched growing up. We loved these worlds. So how in the name of all that is pixelated did they get their film adaptation so terribly wrong? Hi, I'm Kyle Stover with the Leaderboard, and we're here to recount the tragic tales of your favorite video games transforming into bad movies, and where exactly it went wrong. So get your eye roll ready, because we're checking out the 8 worst video game movies that ever showed up on the silver screen. Let's get started. Number 1, Super Mario Bros. Of course, we have to start this list off with the very first ever video game movie. Super Mario Bros. Took out all of our favorite things from Mario and gave it that early 90s flair. And while 90s themed parties can be fun, 90s movie storylines are just bad. In this adaptation, they actually made Mario and Luigi plumbers, who are so dedicated to their job that they mounted plungers on their wall. Not golden models or anything like that, mind you. Actual, kind of dirty-looking plungers. The Toad Kingdom in the games have been fun to return to, with their bright, vibrant world filled with power-giving plants and strangely cute but deadly animals. The Toad Kingdom in the movie shows a dirtier, darker, fourth dimension of New York City, where people, who look exactly like us by the way, are supposed to be evolved from dinosaurs? How? Even having the coolest family lineage gives us nothing but a guy in a horrible suit for the iconic Bowser, instead of Godzilla's flashier kid cousin. And worst of all, they made us think that Mario and Luigi's full names are Luigi Mario and Mario Mario. Not very believable, even for the 90s. They even thought this would be good enough to merit them a sequel. Maybe if they got a one-up mushroom, but sadly no. It's a good thing they're plumbers, because this movie went down the toilet. Number 2, Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. This film totally broke away from the fantasy in Final Fantasy and went to science fiction. After a series of games about swords, magic, and summoned behemoths, why did they decide to go to guns and orbital laser cannons? They even decided to bring the story to our world. The opening of the movie takes place in the cliched ruins of old New York City. I mean, come on, just use the same system you've been working with for years. We will give it credit for being a milestone in computer animated films, picture quality wise. But damn it, I wanted swords and summon monsters. 5 years later, they finally got it right with Final Fantasy Advent Children. Breathtaking sword fights, giant creatures, magic, and all of our favorite characters, even the ones who died. But Spirits Within was completely different enough from their roots, yet too close to reality to succeed. And we don't care what you thought, Max, it wasn't that good. Number 3, DOA, Dead or Alive. The only video game movie that says its own name, then feels the need to explain itself. You probably didn't know they made a Dead or Alive movie. That's okay. Neither did most people while it was in theaters. It was described as a movie with non-stop action, and not in the good sense. If you can get past the bad writing, poor acting, and a film quality that makes it seem kind of like softcore porn, you might be able to enjoy the decent fight choreography. In a way, the movie knew its audience. We aren't playing Dead or Alive for the story or its character development. We're totally fine with seeing Tina, a pro wrestler, be equal in fighting prowess against a master in ninjutsu. The humor is very cheeky, and I mean, there's a scene where a man flexes and they play the sound effect of a shotgun cocking. No, seriously, it's great, but what? The women and men fight in ridiculous outfits and scenic locations, and they even find a way to put in a volleyball scene. Of course. They capture the essence of the game, but maybe a little too well. There's not much substance to the Dead or Alive games, and there isn't much substance to the movie. Just some partial nudity, lots of fighting, and subpar acting. After being in the theaters for 3 weeks, it only made back a third of its production cost. But hey, at least they gave Ayane purple hair, and that's one thing I'm not complaining about. Number 4, Hitman Agent 47. So, how exactly do you see the first attempt at a Hitman movie fail, and then make a second one that's even worse? How do you even make a movie about a deadly assassin bad? Twice! Just give us a longer version of the Hitman Absolution Attack of the Saints trailer, with more of those Geralt stealth takedowns. Worse yet, the movie was filled with product placement. Ugh. Commercialism. Get ready for some heavy use of Audis. In the video game, Agent 47 is a quiet man who kills with even quieter efficiency. He takes down his targets in creative ways that could almost be taken as accidents, but when the gloves come off, he can throw down. Both are equally as satisfying and feed into the other. If you've played a Hitman game, you know some of the greatest takedowns are the ones you set up and see unfold. Poisoning food, setting a chandelier to fall at the precise time, replacing a prop gun with a real gun. Agent 47 is a man who kills kills only when necessary and looks damn good doing it. But he is also very discreet about it and leaves as few witnesses as possible. He is not one who fights soldiers on zip lines in the middle of the street, cracks one-liners, or looks like Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. In the beginning of the movie, the agent literally kills so many men he doesn't have to. That is not what a hitman does, at least not our game Hitman. There is also a huge fight scene in a subway, where tons of people see everything go down. Zero discretion here and zero believability. IGN was quoted saying, "Hitman Agent 47 is almost certainly going to be too much of a generic action film for those heavily invested in the game franchise, and too video game-like for those who aren't. Can't half-ass two things, y'all. You gotta go all in one way or the other. And we prefer the other, the one that's pretty much all for the game's fans. I mean, we're the ones buying the tickets, right?" Number 5. Street Fighter: The Legend of Chunli. Ranked 44th on Rotten Tomatoes' 100 Worst Films of the early 2000s, Street Fighter: The Legend of Chunli went so far down the sinkhole that it may have found the path to Wonderland. The story is loosely based off the story of Chun-Li over the course of the Street Fighter Alpha series, without mentioning Ryu until the very end as an afterthought. I mean, come on, how do you not have Ryu or Ken in a Street Fighter movie? The filmmakers deserve a shoryuken to the face. In the movie, Chun-Li is said to have learned wushu from her father. In the games, however, Chun-Li is said to have learned a variety of martial arts including karate, capoeira, tai chi, and more. But wushu is never mentioned. Furthermore, her father taught her Hong Quan in the games. It's a small gripe, but it shows the fans that you care about the source material. Now, if you want to get talking about big gripes, how much we talk about how much core characters have been changed. I mean, Vega is a man obsessed with himself, who thinks he is the perfect man. He is gorgeous, he's eloquent. But you make him go full ninja? I mean, yes, he is a ninja, but come on. It's not Vega unless he's showing off his abs, instead of hiding in some dark cloak in the shadows. Bison has always been a dictator, sure, but why make him a man in a suit who kills all of his employees just for giving them bad news? Actually, none of the characters are shown donning their iconic outfits. The wardrobe may have been impractical, sure, but it's what made them, well, them. It really just seemed like someone put names that we would know onto their original script idea, hoping they could cash in on the fandom. But fandom's Hadoken that junk. No bonus round for you. Number 6, Doom. I know we've asked this question a couple of times already, but really, how do you screw this up? Doom is about demons from hell on Mars. Add in Dwayne Johnson, this should have been a blockbuster bloodbath. You know how a lot of movies get caught up in trying to explain how this story is possible? The premise of the Doom games was hell unleashed on Mars. We're using premise lightly because the Doom games had about as much story as your average Vine clip. You were given a gun, pointed at baddies, and told to blast away. Not much plot, so clearly they had no choice but to invent some things for the movie, like the Doom guy having an actual name, or figuring out how he comes to be the only man standing between the hell on Mars coming to Earth. Unfortunately, it seems the writers couldn't see the bloody writing on the walls, so they lifted from the Resident Evil series. Demons from hell suddenly became some sort of virus, mutagen, zombie virus, Martian chromosome thing. What? So what started as an invasion of the supernatural is transformed into some pseudoscience mumbo-jumbo that doesn't make it easier to understand. It just makes us feel like they think we're stupid. We were on board for a colony on Mars being invaded by demons. It's why we bought the tickets. Now stop adding changes and turn up the lights so we can see the goods. The first-person chainsaw scene, which was before the GoPro cameras will give you that, is just confusing and sad. From the beginning, we should have known that this film was doomed. Number 7. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Alright, I might get some flack for this after everything I've said before, but I actually liked the first Mortal Kombat movie. It wasn't perfect, but it was enjoyable. The second one, though, totally unnecessary and poorly done. Killing characters off in the first 5 minutes, spoiler alert to those of you living under a rock, and trying to act like Jax's robot arms are actually like robot sleeves? I mean, come on. Not necessary, not cool. After the first movie's success, they decided the movie deserved a sequel, but didn't realize how much they had already wrapped up in the last movie. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, arguably the most iconic characters of the series, died in the first movie and were brought back for the second one, with little to no explanation. But at least we got the greatest, worst acting in movie history. And don't even get me started on how Shao Kahn constantly sounded like he's about to cry. But I guess after how poor this movie was, can't blame him. Number 8. Alone in the Dark. The only video game movie to get a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes, Alone in the Dark was based on the series of the same name that debuted in 1992 and was the first ever 3D survival horror game. The original 1992 game follows a private investigator looking into a client's uncle's death after he was found hanging in his attic. Spoiler alert for a game older than most of you. Upon entering the home, the doors lock behind you, and the horrors hidden within the home emerge. And unlike Resident Evil, you have no real way to defend yourself against the horrors aside from your wits. You learn that the home was built by an occultist pirate who used dark rituals to extend his wealth, power, and life back during the Civil War. He eventually sealed his soul into the house, waiting for a new host and the right time. And guess who just walked in at the right time? You. Now you have to burn down the house and escape in order to seal away the horrors and finally put the souls there to rest. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Make a movie of that. Well, no. In 2005, the film developers decided that wasn't cool enough, and the protagonist became a secret agent trained in dealing with the paranormal, who was looking for artifacts for an ancient Mayan-like civilization that tried to summon aliens. What? Something that could have been a great movie about an average Joe being thrust into a world beyond his understanding was instead turned into a poorly written generic action film, which, I will remind you again, got a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. And that's pretty rotten. Hey guys, once again, I'm Kyle Stover, and thanks for watching the 8 worst video game movies that disgraced the silver screen. We know there are plenty more horrible film adaptations out there, so what do you think deserves to be on this list? Comment below and let us know. Check out some of our other videos by clicking the links in the description below. We have new videos dropping every week, so let us know what game you want us to cover next. And if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, where we help you game smarter.